expertise that he had done and helped us, we wouldn't have our cemetery preservation plan. Because I used a lot, he asked me not to put a lot of it out there, and I didn't. But Bill Neville was real good about it too.
Oh yeah, Bill's good.
Bill was really good, and he understood that. It was Jimmy's.
Number 16.
He's usually an hour early for everything, like his treatments, his doctor's appointments, in case something happens on the way. But
You got this over at Stewart? Can you tell, is that the wooden bridge?
That's the same picture he had. They were taken, when was the bridge built?
22.
Yeah, they were taken in 22, right after the bridge was built.
Then this is the wooden bridge. I knew it was,
Yeah, it is.
because I took my
Because
magazine.
it's the same picture. We have the same picture, and it was a, they hired a guy
Bill, how are
to
you?
come in
I am good.
and do an aerial
That's good to
shot.
hear.
Right. And I know it's before 1957 because that is when the other half of the firehouse was
Oh, no,
built
this was
now.
right after, they did this right after the bridge was built.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's for, hey, that's for bringing back first meeting in July.
July, okay.
Feel good, yourself? You all right?
Yeah. Busy week.
Oh, it'll be busy. Some of the people are coming.
And some of them are
So
hateful.
we're not-
I don't know why.
I hope they're buying enough
Restaurant
food.
wise, it's not as good this year.
No, it's been slow up to.
Attitude, better
I think
attitude.
they're getting ready to come.
I
Yeah.
can't help it. I'm paying $5 a
It's like
gallon.
Outer Banks, they have all kinds of houses and stuff canceled because gas prices.
Oh, I'm sure of that.
It surprises me if you go there and rent
I know.
$7,000 home, you're going
It's
to
amazing.
complain about it extra.
Because we upgraded our house, because we waited late and then,
Which order you gonna do these in?
Alphabetical.
My last
My
name?
last name, Carpenter, Conklin, and
Okay.
Carl's
Conklin.
Fondell.
4 S's and T's, what was it?
Yeah.
Last to feed point on, last to eat. Last to get cold for the.
that's wonderful.
So you said that picture was in 1940 what?
We got there, Ernie.
No, it was, they were taken right after the bridge was built.
Okay. Because the new bridges, the second set of bridges was 1939 when they started.
No, this was, what we were always told. I think that's the same picture we had hanging up.
Nice, feels good in here.
They just took it down.
Yeah, it finally faded out.
Oh my, wish we had took it in
What's
Salisbury.
going on?
Mike told me a place up there where they can
At least
pop,
I
get
know
you
they
the
give me
coffee. It's good. School board drinks a lot. That's what I'm looking
Because that Hennett,
Dr. Henry?
he came in 18, and he was one of the ones that got the guy to come in and do that, because he had it made into a postcard. I don't have one of the postcards, but he had the pictures made into postcards.
Right.
And for years, that was a postcard picture you could buy. He had his own postcards made. And he had a guy come in there, and I'm pretty sure it's the same vintage and everything. Everything looks the same. Because very little was developed out along the water and stuff.
Right, yeah.
Those, hey Gene, those are, bring those back to the first meeting, get them back to me before the first meeting in July.
Paper and sign? Got paper and sign? Re-election?
I already got all them.
Got 'em all done? I'm glad of that. That's a good thing, man. That's good news.
Hold on, what is it? I don't know if to his job.
I don't know if they want to or not, but he doesn't want to tell you on here what was changed. Just leave it.
Yeah, I don't know if that needs to be
individual.
Oh,
You know what I mean?
You know, well, in one case is, plans to put,
Yeah, but this was voted on before that.
oh yeah.
Every time I get home,
Hey Denise, can you hear us?
Yes, I can.
Okay, I'm gonna turn the volume back down.
going to call to order the council workshop meeting June 16, 2022. And we will start with invocation by Councilman McCollum. All rise.
Dear Lord, just like to thank you for everybody assembled here tonight. Lord, we are pleased to be able to recognize some cornerstones of our community tonight and some recognition. Lord, also be remiss if we didn't remember and ask for prayers for the family of the Wicomico Sheriff Deputy that was lost in the line of duty earlier this week. At the same time, Lord, please issue a hedge of protection around all of our EMS and police, Lord. Keep them safe, Lord, and may we do your will here tonight. Amen.
And pledge of allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, first order of business, we need to, I'll entertain a motion. We have a remote participation from Councilman Bowden, so I'll entertain a motion to accept that remote participation.
Second.
All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
So moved. And public comment, I don't believe we have anybody, do we?
No, sir.
No. Moving on, entertain a motion to adopt the agenda.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
So moved.
Aye.
Bingo. And at this time, we will have a resolutions of respect and admiration. We will be doing that. So at this time, we're recognizing 3 members of our community. And I'm going to present a resolution, and then after that presentation, Ms. Ellen will have a short window to speak. She'd like to say a few words. So first, I'd like to call up Mr. James Carpenter. You could come up, please. Sit right there. You want to come around front? You won't face the crowd.
Oh, okay.
A resolution of respect and admiration. Mr. James Carpenter has resided within the town of Chincoteague for some 86 years, and whereas Mr. Carpenter has served his country and the island in the United States Coast Guard, and whereas Mr. Carpenter has tirelessly served his community through volunteer service to various civic organizations, and whereas Mr. Carpenter has worked diligently to document and record the island's past, demonstrating a lifelong commitment to preserving the history of his community, and whereas Mr. Carpenter has compiled and published a number of historical volumes of various subjects of island history, including identifying and indexing island cemeteries, documenting a history of all island businesses, and an autobiography of his life on Chincoteague, now therefore be it resolved that the town council bestows this resolution of respect and admiration to Mr. James Carpenter for his lifelong commitment to the preservation of Chincoteague Island and his diligence in the conservation of its history. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Appreciate it. As always. Let's get pictures on.
Call forth Mr. Henry James Conklin, Bob Conklin. Yeah, you gotta look at Miss Ellen.
Oh,
She's
that
gonna
way.
want your picture.
Pictures of all things.
Whereas Mr. Henry James Bob Conklin has resided within the town of Chincoteague for some 91 years, and whereas Mr. Conklin has served his country and the island in the United States Navy, and whereas Mr. Conklin established multiple businesses on the island, some of which have remained in business for over 50 years, and whereas Mr. Conklin has worked diligently to document and record the history of the island, including the March 1962 storm, demonstrating a lifelong commitment to preserving the history of his community, and whereas Mr. Conklin has lent his technical expertise and personal archives to several projects that help maintain the island's history for the benefit of future generations, Now therefore be it resolved that the town council bestows this resolution of respect and admiration to Mr. Henry James Bob Conklin for his lifelong commitment to the preservation of Chincoteague Island and his diligence in the preservation of its history. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Mr. William Spadell. Make sure you're facing that one. Whereas Mr. William Spadell has resided within the town of Chincoteague for some 76 years, and whereas Mr. Spadell has demonstrated a commitment to the service of his fellow citizens, and whereas Mr. Spadell has tirelessly served his community through volunteer service to various civic organizations, and whereas Mr. Spadell has worked for decades to document and record the history of the island, exhibiting a lifelong commitment to preserving the history of his community through photographs, film, and video, and whereas Mr. Spadell has lent his technical expertise and personal archives to several projects that help maintain the island's history for future generations, now therefore be it resolved that the town council bestows this resolution of respect and admiration to Mr. William Spadell for lifelong commitment to the preservation of Chincoteague Island and his due diligence in the conservation of its history. Congratulations. All right, at this time, Ms. Allen is requested to say a few words. I'm going to turn the floor over to Councilman Richardson.
Thank you. Vice Mayor Thon. I'm not going to take, well, we got a while. First of all, I'll start with Mr. Carpenter. Some of you may not know it, but he was very instrumental in the town of Chincoteague developing a cemetery preservation plan. Very helpful, gave us a lot of information. Mr. Bill Neville was our planner at the time, and he done a splendid job on this. Jimmy, I think I gave you a copy of this, didn't I? And you'd be surprised at the people that do look at it. And not only that, but these books, you see they're little dog ears with notes. I use them almost every day. When he first came out with this book, I purchased one for the town. They started calling here wanting to know about their relatives. So one of the workers said, wait a minute, let me go get the dead book. They said, the what? Let me go get the dead book. So she went and got this and helped that person find her relatives on where to start to look for. So this is an asset, and the people that have them know it is. And I thank you so much for that.
You just won't be glad you're not in it.
Well, I am, Marlene. That's why I'm standing here. And the second thing, Mr. Bob Conklin. Anytime I needed a picture, I'd go to him and I'd say, can you help me? He had them in his archives. And in this book, some of you may be fortunate enough to have it. They're out of print, but it has a lot of his photos that are in here. And Bob, I appreciate it very much. And for the town, all three of you, what you have done for the town. I'm going to come here, and you all know I am. But to me, this is my home, and these are my people. And Mr. Spadell, I did not know that I even had this in my possession. It's the Assateague Bridge Authority ceremony done in April of 2004 that I took you video and you put it on a disc. And You've also done some on our 1908 when we had our celebration over here. I think anyone that had a picture and wanted to save it would take it to Bill. He scanned it, or he would take their VHSs and put them on a video. And I also found something else. The museum is getting ready to celebrate the 100th anniversary of the Causeway in October of this year. And we're doing an exhibit over there. And I was hoping and praying that somebody had some of these old pictures of the old wooden bridge in 1922. I wasn't here. But anyway, this is one of them. I don't know who took that. I know that Chris told me he thought that Mr. Hennig had hired someone to take this aerial shot years ago because he had one in the store until it started to fall apart. But anyway, I found a video of pictures that Bill had done, and there is the old bridge, the other wooden bridge coming on up to it. I was shocked. And we have another historian in this room, and that's Marlene Carpenter. If I need you want to know anything, like I asked her about the toll bridge, when you had to pay a toll to go off, on where was it taken at, and it was on this side of the bridge. I asked her how much. She said she remembered her mother or grandmother telling her it was 5 cents. But you paid that 5 cents to go across the bridge. It didn't cost you nothing coming here, but you had to pay to go off. So you remember that, Mark?
No, it should be opposite.
I know. But anyway, all three of you for the town of Chincoteague, I've enjoyed was working with a lot of you because Bob, Nancy, you served on the council, and Bob served on a lot of committees. And it's my pleasure to, I guess you say, save this, preserve it, anything that I have. And that is why I told Kelly a while ago, back when I came on council in year 2000, there wasn't anything in that vault that pertained to the history back of Chincoteague, except the minute books. No pictures, no books, nothing. And when Karen Hipple realized that I was interested in the history as well as she was, she started scanning pictures and things and put on the archives. And now the town of Chincoteague has that they can go and get it. So if you got any old pictures out there, take them in. Kelly will do it. She'll scan them for you. But thank you all very much.
At this time, I'll open it up to the rest of the council. Do y'all have anything you'd like to add before we?
Yeah, so work with all of you, around you, great citizens, and we thank you. And keep on. This is why you're here. And keep on still doing and enjoy doing what you do. This isn't time to give up. We're just thanking you for what you've done so far. So keep on preserving and keeping and collecting pictures and gathering stuff because people know who to go to. Especially now. Especially now because they know that you do it. So, but keep on. This is thank you for what you've done later, but keep on and enjoy what you're doing, and keep on serving our community. We certainly appreciate it.
Mr. Vice Mayor?
Go ahead, Denise.
Yes, I'd like to personally thank them as well as a history buff and, of course, a lover of Chincoteague history. I'm so thankful and grateful that we have people such as the ones that were recognized that love to do the same thing, to preserve and keep it for us. It means an awful lot to me that our future generations will still be able to look back and hopefully not forget where they come from. So kudos to everybody there, and thank you again, everyone that was recognized tonight.
Just like to say congratulations. Appreciate what you've done. Appreciate what you'll continue to do, and for everybody here, and making sure that our history is preserved for all of us. And we really do appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah, I'll end with a thank you to all three of you. History is important, and the preservation of history is probably equally as important. So we're going to probably move on with the rest of our meeting, but I'd like to give you all an opportunity if you'd like to leave. This is an ideal time. I don't want you to leave, but
We're getting ready to go into the state vehicle code, and I don't know if that would be as interesting. Oh.
You inviting me for this award, and I thank every one of you and everyone who shared that, I appreciate it.
No, no, thank you.
You're welcome.
Don't have nobody left.
Old state vehicle. The old state vehicle code wasn't going to hold them, I can tell you
That
that.
wasn't good, Pat. That wasn't good.
Nail.
You could have told them we were giving free tax breaks.
Yeah.
That would have kept them.
Kept all of them. All right, moving on to agenda item number 1, 2022 state vehicle code. And Mr. Talbert, that is your floor.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Mayor. We do this every year. We adopt the state's traffic and vehicle code, and we do that so that anything that we charge, as the police department charges as far as state vehicle violations, can be prosecuted just as it would be if the state policeman did the same thing. And we have to adopt this every year. It's pretty standard stuff. If there's any questions, we can certainly try to answer them.
All right, so I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to adopt as presented.
Second.
All right, any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
So moved.
Aye.
Agenda item number 2, review and consider employee raises. We started this and went through this at the Budget and Personnel meeting this past Tuesday night, and I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Talbert again, and he can give you a synopsis. We were, of course, in favor of this recommendation, but he should give a synopsis first, I believe.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Mayor. As we do each year, all supervisors evaluated their employees. We use a software tool by Insperity, which we won't be using next year because they've discontinued it. Where it does assist us in evaluating each employee through 11 different competencies. We rate them 1 to 5. The software, after we get done going through it, develops a composite score for that employee, and it also assists us in maybe summarizing a written evaluation of that employee. The supervisor has an opportunity to modify that or even throw it out and write his own. It's just a tool that assists us in doing that. This year, breaking down the data, it follows a bell curve, as you might expect. We have a few on the meets the minimum side of the average. The average, of course, is the majority of our employees. We have a good number, a healthy number of folks above that average, which pleases me. Moving down farther, the average performance score this year between 1 and 5 was 3.33, which meets job requirements with an average raise of 2.35%. As usual, we budgeted 2.5% during our budget talks. And the highest proposed raise this year is 5%. The lowest is 1.75%. Last year, the average score was 3.36, which is slightly higher, 3/100ths higher than this year, with an average raise of 2.72%. The highest raise last year was 5, and the lowest was 1.5. You can see the numbers are not extremely different than last year. The average raise being 2.72% last year, you notice that that is somewhat higher than this year's 2.35, but the difference, last year we evaluated, and we did not give merit increases to our part-timers. We only gave them a 1.5% COLA, which factors into this. So this year our part-timers were given full merit increases based on a full evaluation, which changed that number slightly. Looking at the dollars, you can see there by department. If you look over the budget to the column, this is budget over and under. That's where we stand as far as each department coming in over or under their budgeted raise. As you can see, we are cumulatively we are under by almost $21,000 under what was budgeted for the 2.5% raise. So we are to the good, and that's the reason we're recommending the raise. Last year, we were under to the tune of $29,000, almost $29,500. So again, we are $20,000 to the good on our budgeted raise, and which is a big reason why I recommended it, and I feel like the budget and personnel probably did the same. Again, the part-timers this year were given a true evaluation, not just a 1.5% COLA across the board. So I did recommend to the budget and personnel to approve the raises as they were presented, and budget and personnel made that same recommendation, is making that same recommendation to the council. And I can try to answer any questions you may have.
So I'll present the motion, since it's coming from budget personnel. We are recommending approval of this to move forward with merit increases for fiscal year '23. Any discussion, questions? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Aye.
All right. And moving on to review of annual excise tax appropriations. This is actually the other issue we took up in budget and personnel this past Tuesday night, was the issue of the meals tax distribution to the Chamber of Commerce. It's not real complicated, but I'll get Mike to kind of give you a synopsis on this. Mr. Talbot, if you'll
Thank
take
you,
that.
Mr. Vice Mayor. This year, we budgeted for FY '22 $110,000 to be dedicated to development of tourism on the island, as we're supposed to per the ordinance. The total budgeted was $110,000. Half of that goes to the community center, half of that goes to the Chamber of Commerce. And we parcel that out, we distribute that at 5% per month of the amounts collected for that month. In March of this year, they both of those reached their total of $55,000. That being what was budgeted, I discontinued payments in April and May, and of course the payment in June hasn't been calculated yet because they're really not due till Monday. So there were some questions as to why we ceased payments to the chamber. Of course, the center, as you know, is coming back to operation with the town, so that's inconsequential in this analysis. But there was some questions from the chamber as to why we stopped payments, and the straight answer is that we reached the budgeted amount for that, and payments were stopped. As I'm sure you'll remember, back in 2018, the council voted to cap distributions to the chamber and center. The Meals Tax Committee met a few months after that, and I believe it was in 2019 that the council rescinded the recommendation to cap the distributions to the chamber and center, and that is where that still stands. There is no cap, formal cap on those distributions. However, again, payments were stopped because we exceeded our budget amount, or we reached our budget amount, I should say. So the question here is, does the council want to approve the back payments for the payments which there should have been in April and May, and do they want me to distribute to the chamber in June when that comes due? The totals here I've given you, I did a little homework on the totals. The back payments for April and May would total $7,707. And of course, we don't have the numbers for June yet, but last June, FY '21, which was a good year, the number for June itself was $7,151. So we're talking about $15,000, most likely, that will be going through to the chamber if you elect to continue payments through the end of this fiscal year.
During the budget personnel meeting, we were in the agreement to continue the payments and to issue the back payment. Along with that, we also recommended that the whole ordinance go back to the ordinance committee, because with us taking over the Chincoteague Center, we need to revisit the method of allocation for that amount of money. So that's kind of our thought process, is to keep it going the way it was now, and then have the ordinance committee revisit that whole 10% back to the promotion of tourism out of the meals tax, how that needs to be allocated and the manner for which it needs to be allocated. So that was our recommendation. I'll move that. I'll make that in the form of a motion to continue the distributions and to pay the back distributions as well.
I'll second.
Any more discussion on that, or any discussion on that? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion
Aye.
carries. All right, moving on to, that was 4 and 5, covers that whole issue, right? That was 4 and 5. So, next item on the agenda is the approval of the modified salary schedule. And I will turn this over to Mr. Talbert as well to give you a briefing on this. We
Thank
talked about this a little bit, and I'm sorry, we talked about this a little bit in budget and personnel as well, and then he was coming back to full council with his recommendation.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Mayor. As you can see, we made a few modifications to the maximums on the grade classification for the town. For all positions, the new, the modified version is in front of you and is also on the screen, and we're just asking you to make to approve that new salary scale.
Denise, can you see that?
I can see it. I've got it pulled up.
So the Budget and Personnel Committee was also in favor of this change to the salary scale, so I'll present that in the form of a motion as well to make the change to the salary scale.
I second that.
So we have a second. Any discussion on that? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion
Aye.
carries. And at this time, we'll move on to mayor and council announcements. We'll start, I guess, Gene, on your side.
Yeah, we do want to, not just the people that are here today, they're doing a history. I want to thank you for people today that are working to keep daily operations going. The EMS, like I said, that fire whistle is going off 24/7, and the police. You don't know what it is until you walk in those young men's shoes. You don't know what it is. You know, we see the best, and I wish I could say that that's what it was, but like everywhere, you know, you have your pockets of not love, and we are very blessed. We have a great place to live, and y'all keep it that way. But is it a perfect here? You know it's not, and we thank you for helping to protect this island and make it safe, not just for us, but the visitors that come here. Because guess what? They're not safe. They're not coming back next year. And y'all are doing a great job, and keep it up. Keep it up. And I know you're keeping your guys trained. You know, you're keeping your young men and young women trained. And it's not for faults, or, you know, you heard me say sometimes, I hope we don't never have to use it. You all have to use it. And you know that's the case. But thank you all very much.
Just want to say congratulations publicly to Tyler Greenley for finishing up the FBI school. I think he represented the town very well in that. So other than that, just prayers for Councilman Savage and his dad, and hopefully he returns home in good health soon.
I would like to say thank you to Mr. Talbert and Kelly for the resolution that they did. I thought they'd done a splendid job, and I feel good on what we did for those people. I've always, well, my mother-in-law used to say, give me flowers while I'm living, I can't smell them when I'm dead. So that's the truth, and so many times you don't know what it means to somebody just to have a thank you on what they've done, whether it be in person or whether it be in a card. A lot of people, when you're down sick and cards and things come to you, it makes you feel pretty good. It lifts you up, gives you a lift. But thank you for what you're doing. And Kelly, she's on the other end.
I would like to share a personal experience. And I think it ties in well. You know, we spend a lot of money, the town does, on our EMS program and on our police force, in comparison to our neighboring communities and so forth. And I will say on a personal note that I think it was Memorial Day weekend, on Sunday of Memorial Day weekend this year, 3 weekends ago, I was working in the farmers, because we're open on Sundays now, and I got a call from my wife stating that my youngest one had been in a surfing accident, and he was at the beach, and they were calling the ambulance. This was at 1 o'clock, 1:30 in the afternoon, people everywhere. So I said, wow, this is something. So I said, I'll meet you over there. So I left, and you know that your ambulance service beat me over to the beach. That was impressive on Memorial Day Sunday. So, I mean, that was a testament to the timing. I mean, they were there in 5-10 minutes, something like that. Maybe even less than that. I don't know what the exact time was, but it was that was a very reassuring feeling being on the recipient end of the emergency medical services. So I think that's something that needs to be recognized, that the money we're putting into this and the staffing and the equipment is, I think is definitely paying off for everybody. So, all right, that's all we've got on that. Moving on into closed meeting to discuss. Did you put my stuff in there, Mike? No, you didn't, did you? Closed meeting in accordance with 3.2-3711A15 of the Code of Virginia to discuss prospective business opportunities and the evaluation of staff. If I can get a motion for that.
Oh, so moved.
All those in favor, signify by
Second.
saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. And it carries.